Welcome to Inspiring Teachers. I'm Danny Hogger, and thanks so much for joining us on all our previous editions. We've had some amazing guests lately. Michelle Foray from Pocket Full of Teachers, Johnny Milford, Johnny Stockton from Central Valley Radio legend. That was amazing, and more. So check out all of our episodes. But today is a new day and a new episode, and we're here with Chris Fallows. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and thank you so much for being here. So we've only known each other for about a month. We've only spoken maybe 2 times, so this is a good way to get to know each other.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make time with you, and so this was a good way to do it. And you kind of impressed me really quickly, and it's kind of embarrassing to tell someone that you've only met 2 times, but when you have an annual teacher improv show that the students put on and that you kind of direct and lead along with the theater department here. And I was just impressed at the quality of the students and their efforts and their work and their passions for what they were doing. And I'm like, okay, hold on for a second, because whoever teacher has set them up with the expectations of what to do, and you were even able to tell them, hey, go in the other room with the teachers, help coach them through some activities and warm-ups. Then they did such a wonderful job, and the high caliber of their work, I knew that they were being led by somebody who had gotten them focused in a big way. So I was impressed by that. And I wanted to know more about you and your background, and so that's a lot of setup. So how did you come to teaching first? And then we can get into all those things that first impressed me about you.
I'm not sure exactly. Sometimes you just sort of luck into stuff. I think I always wanted to become a teacher, and I thought I'd be a math teacher, as a matter of fact, because I love math, and I was a big math. I just like math. It's like a puzzle, and I started college as a math major, and I was in my finite mathematics class, and everybody there's a math major, and the teacher is obviously a math major, and everyone's bored. Like the entire class is so mind-numbingly bored, and I thought, I don't think I want to do this for a living.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
if the people who like this don't like it, then I don't know if that's really what I want to do, and so that put me on the fence, and then I had this philosophy and theater class, English class kind of thing, and I would come out of there thinking a little differently. And then I thought about teaching math, and nobody walks out of math class and thinks, wow, I'm a new man. I'm never going to think about trapezoids that way again. It can make a difference, and certainly the cognitive, there's all kinds of great things about learning math.
Right.
But that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I became an English major, and because it was more fun, and theater was kind of like sort of in the background somewhere buzzing in my head. But then I got a job offer when I graduated from college. This was in the 90s.
And what college?
Santa Clara University.
Okay.
Go Broncos.
All right.
And so I graduated and in the 90s, mid 90s, and I had a friend who offered me a job as a teaching in-house at Yahoo. So it was like their systems and policies and if they had new products, I would be teaching outside, but mostly it was an in-house thing. And so I thought I almost took that job, and then I got. That was going to be $92,000. This was in 1996.
Good grief.
And so instead, I took a job teaching middle school English for $36,000.
My question is why, and what factored into that decision?
It wasn't really. The weird, sad part was it wasn't that hard a decision. I just didn't want to do that thing.
Okay.
And I did want to do this. It's a big part of my philosophy and my faith, and
right.
I want to make a difference, and I want to be glad at the end of the day that something mattered.
Sure.
And that's a big thing. And so now that isn't to say you can't make a difference in other walks of life, but for me, this is where I felt like I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really matter. I grew up poor. My dad was a janitor, and we were very poor growing up, and so money was really not like a thing in my house. Like I wasn't used to having any.
Yeah.
And so the idea of getting a bunch wasn't all that oddly appealing to me because it was not really an issue. But so I started teaching English, and then I got a new job at another school, and the principal said, "You think you teach a theater class?" And I took theater at college and high school and community things, and I'd done a lot of stuff, and so I did. And I said, yeah, I could do that. And the first year I taught 1 period of English and, no, 5 periods of English and 1 period of theater. And then the theater thing got more popular, so I had 2 the next year. And so it was 4 and 2, and then it was 3 and 3, and then it was 2 and 4, and then it was 1 and 5. And then I started teaching at the high school, came here to Heritage, and then I've been all theater ever since.
Wow.
And that involved a lot of sort of training, because I didn't have much of a theater program in high school, really. And so a lot of it's been study outside and training I've received since then at that, because I feel like you got to know what you're talking about.
So if part of that sounds like a bit of lifelong learning, if you've had to piece together an additional amounts of information and background and strength to what you're giving, right? And I wonder if any of that, you mentioned a little bit of your upbringing, did not having as much money growing up mean that you had to make more of your own entertainment? And did that lead you at all to be a skilled performer and interested in theater where you have to create with using what you have? Do you think that that factors in at all?
Yeah, it was funny. I was, imagination was a big thing. I remember I had about 75 cents in coins, and I would play with them, and I would spin them. And if they came up heads, they were like the rebels, and if they came up tails, they were the empire. And then I would have them do these battles, and they were pretty involved, right? As people went for flanking maneuvers, and the coins went around the other side, and all these things that I would create. And I don't know if that was a product of my lack of funds, or if it was a product of just my regular imagination.
Sure.
I'm really weird, and I know that because a lot of people have pointed it out to me over the years. So so I'm not sure. A youngest child, at least I was for the first 12 years of my life. Then we had a little brother and ruined everything. So that's they say that matters, but for whatever reason, I think imagination and I paraphrase a Picasso quote, which is, every child is an artist. The trouble is how to remain a child when one grows up.
Oh, that's
and
good.
that's the way my spin on that. And so I think we have that imagination. And then puberty happens. For a lot of people, it's then. Some people, it's earlier, where it's not okay to imagine anymore.
Sure.
And that's what theater is. It's this unlocking of the imagination.
Right.
That Lee Strasberg says that theater acting is living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. And if that's true, and I think it is,
that's great.
Then you aren't really acting, right? You are just being there in this imaginary circumstance. I kind of think we live in imaginary circumstances all the time anyway, because you imagine somebody offended you, or you've decided they like you,
sure,
and you behave differently because of it.
Yeah.
And we jump to these conclusions, which often aren't really that based in reality anyway, and objectively, but they become our reality. And all you really have to do as an actor is unlock that creative thing. And then the hardest part, I think, is getting kids to be willing to go back to there. They've spent 1 to 5 years killing that part of themselves, and making them free to do is hard.
Yeah, good. So it's a reversal of the imposition of boundaries and limitations that happens as you grow. Where, when I used to go in and work at K-8 and worked middle school as you did, you would see 1st and 2nd graders thinking that they're good at everything, to 5th and 6th graders thinking they are not good at some things already, right? And no, I don't think there was ever a day, maybe it was friends that actually said some of this, but you can't do this, or you're bad at this. And then they accept that, and then that's something they won't do for the rest, right? So you're unlocking those limitations and unlocking that potential, and I think that's really neat. You're also making me think I spend too much on my daughter's toys, where 75 cents might cover it as she grows from age 2, and so I'll remember that, and I'll credit you for that. She'll love you when she finds out.
Well, we'll have egg on my house at some point.
Yeah.
But and then when it comes to, I think self-esteem, it is how we view ourselves, obviously, how we esteem ourselves.
Sure.
And how we view ourselves is really, at least after puberty, kind of dependent at some level on how good you do. And at least it should be. And sometimes we overly criticize ourselves, but I think very few of us actually are too soft on ourselves. I think it's a very, very, very rare problem to have. Almost everybody, if you meet somebody, just assume they don't know how awesome they are.
Yeah.
You just
right.
assume it.
Right.
They don't know how awesome they are. And they even the ones who try to show off and talk about how awesome they are, they don't know it either. That's why they have to keep pushing it all the time to shove it in your face to convince themselves that it's true because they don't believe it.
Right.
And so when as a teacher, I assume everybody who I meet needs to understand their worth, and they don't. And that assumption has helped me tremendously because it explains we're talking about teenagers here, they're incredibly, at least on the surface, random behavior and random mood swings and giving up out of nowhere for things and all the things that kids do. And I think if you understand where they're coming from, then none of those things are random. I had a student a while back who just would not perform, not doing it, will not perform, forget it. So she, and all year long, I'm like, you're going to do it. You are going to do it. You're not. I'm not giving up on you. And it's push and it's push and it's push. And it's also this thing of safety, right? So I work real hard in class to have the kids. We have a quote we use in class almost every day, which is actors must help each other, understand each other, absolutely love each other. They absolutely must.
Right.
Marlon Brando. And so you have to. You don't have to love the kid in your history class who sits 3 seats behind you because it doesn't matter. When you get up there to do your presentation, you keep your eyes on the page and none of it matters, right? And so you're a little nervous. You can still do it if people put pressure on you. You cannot get up in front of people and expose yourself, metaphorically speaking, if you don't feel safe.
Right.
And that that safety is what the whole first quarter of my class is about. And so that I can go to a girl like Aaliyah and say, hey, look around. Is anybody judging you? Are any of these kids going to hate you? And I say, when you got up and they struggled, did you think they were stupid? No, you didn't. What makes you think you have some other weird standard that you're held to that nobody else in the class is held to? You're not that special in that sense. You have the same standard everybody else does. Just do your best, and you can do it. So this girl gets up, and she gets about halfway through a monologue. First time she's performed in front of the class all year, and she dies. She goes blank. She's doing her scene, and it's pretty good. And then she just freezes up, makes eye contact with somebody in the audience, and locks up in class. And after about 6 or 7 seconds, runs off stage crying.
Okay.
So I went into the hallway, and the class is like, oh, what do we do? Just keep going. I'll be back. So I go in the hallway, and she's all upset. And I said, what are you doing in here? How dare you? You're in here thinking you messed this thing up. And that's offensive to me because I just watched you fight a dragon. You fought a dragon, you got your clothes singed, but you fought a stinking dragon. And you should be like, booyah, I fight dragons. I am a dragon fighter.
Right.
As opposed to I'm going to hide in the cave.
Yeah.
And he says, you're going to beat it next time. And you need to look at yourself. And if you look at yourself in anything other than a dragon fighter, then then not only is that not nice, it's inaccurate. Because the truth is that's what you just did. And so and I walked away.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, please let that work. Knock on wood.
I hope that was the
like,
thing.
oh my gosh, that's simulated wood. Anyway, and she comes back 2 days later. We have class every other day. And she comes back 2 days later, and she gets up and does it. I couldn't believe it. She got up and did it again, got the whole way through it this time. And since then, that was 2 years ago, she's in my class again this year. And in the interim time, she's like a whole different person. Some that's growing up, that's not the only factor in her life, that experience. But now she models, and she's very tall, and so she was very hunched over as a freshman, and now it's amazing when you look at where you decide to look at yourself as.
Yeah. So it takes a while to build. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. I like that. It goes along the whole course of development and the outcomes becoming greater. Are there a set of rules that you try to set out in that first quarter that are trying to set that standard and welcomeness? And what are some of those things that maybe teachers can model in their classrooms and that can help students feel comfortable and be who they are and feel that it's okay to do that?
Well, for me, and it works in my class, I'm not sure everybody will be comfortable with it, but it's all about love. And I use that Marlon Brando quote because he was a tough guy and he was a famous actor, and so it's like, how do you argue with Marlon Brando? Sure. So, although the kids don't know Marlon Brando anymore, so I have to like show them clips of Godfather or whatever. But but this idea of love, we need to love each other in here. It's got to be a safe place. Doesn't mean I have to invite you to my birthday party, but I have to love you. And this is what you wanted when you signed up for this class. This is what you wanted. I have kids who are often very reluctant, and so I work real hard to love those kids double. And when they roll their eyes, we will talk after. Let's talk. Do you see what you did there? Why did that happen?
Right.
And I assume that people have pain that they're not sharing with me, and because of that, I just go, look, I get where you're coming from. This is scary, but we're not going to use on offense as a defense.
Okay. And
so, but then we love them, and you show increase of love after that, and it takes a while, and you get everybody. You mix them up. We get to know each other. We play games together. We work on projects together, and we have to care about each other, and it works. It works in the early stages. Last day of school every year, we have what is essentially like a love share out. It's like, all I say is we get in a circle and what did you learn this year? What are some things that you learned? And it's always a tearful experience. People share a lot of important things, and then I tell the kids, see how close you are with this group? All of your classes could have that.
Yeah.
It's not that this is a special group of people, right? You just got to know them and opened up to them. Yeah, it's not like some magical nexus of humanity, right?
Yeah.
It's another random group of random sample. And so if you opened up in your math class, if you opened up and shared and were honest and cared about people in science, they would do the same over time.
Yeah.
But it takes time. And now you can take this thing and go out. But once that trust happens, then it's time. Okay, now we can start to act. I don't really give them. We have silly things we do. They have to do a lip sync where they act out a scene from a movie or not a music, not a song, but a scene from a show. And it can be anything from. I've had clips just long enough. There's only about 2 45-second clips from Friday, the movie, that don't have swearing in them.
Okay.
So so if you find them, but it's this idea of spend time together, and then once you build that trust, now we can do very things, and then the rules don't change. But I don't tell somebody they did a good job unless they killed it.
Yeah.
They can't. If I just go great job and encourage them that way. Then they feel the lie. I think after puberty, you can smell he's trying to be nice. So I will say, look, you struggled there. I love you. I appreciate your effort. That was a real struggle, or you didn't practice. Simple truth is, you did not work on this. Well, I worked on a little home. How many minutes? No, seriously, you didn't spend time. You say that because you know that's what I want you to hear. But the truth is, you did not work on this at home. Maybe because you were too scared of performing it, so you buried your head in the sand, like the proverbial ostrich. But you didn't. You didn't. And don't tell me you did, because the truth is you didn't.
Right.
And if I know them and I love them, then that isn't offensive.
And what you're saying is love is honesty.
It is.
It's not pleasantries and just saying whatever you think people need to hear, because that's not honest and that's not real love then.
No, it's not real love. It's politeness. Right?
Yeah.
And politeness and kindness are very different things.
Yeah.
They very different things. Now, it doesn't mean I anti-politeness.
Sure.
I care about them, but if I'm only honest in my evaluation of them, then when I tell a kid like Aaliyah, I think you killed that, and you should be proud of yourself, she knows for 3 quarters, I have only told people things I mean.
Yes.
And I only praise things that I think are praiseworthy.
Right.
I only say that worked if it worked. Not if it kind of worked I will say that kind of worked, right?
Right, yeah.
That's such an important thing.
Well, what it's doing too is it's creating markers, and it's tracking progress, and it's encouraging growth, and it's not watering down a compliment, so that a compliment is complimentary. It's not everyone gets one. It's not a thanks for participating trophy.
Yeah.
It's a we're striving towards our own, I guess your own and everyone's personal greatness and personal development of what that is.
Yeah.
Right?
So this goes back to what I really want out of them over the course of the year is I want them to feel awesome. And the only way they can feel awesome is if they did something awesome.
Right.
They can feel loved regardless of how well they did. But they can only feel, you can only really feel awesome about yourself if you did something that for you is awesome.
Sure.
And so I push and this isn't right and this isn't right. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix this. That's wrong again. You went back to that thing. Oh, I don't believe that moment. And from across the room, I'll hear something I go, wrong. That can't be right because you didn't mean that. You didn't mean that. Go back to something you mean. Reblock that. Fix that. Change that. No. Yes, keep that. Now, no. And because I want them to when they do it, it's the best they could have done it. This is all I got. And that's my job, I think, is to put them in a spot where they can accomplish everything they're really capable of accomplishing. And if they do that, then they get to feel awesome. And I don't have to praise them. I don't need to. They don't need praise. It feels good. Yes, you did a great job. But really, they already know it. When kids go, how'd I do? And I go, it must not have been that good, right? Or don't tell me. You tell me how you did. And then they'll have that look on their eyes that says, yeah, that felt pretty good. Yeah, yes, you already know.
Right.
And then you get to feel, then your self-esteem, you esteem yourself. You see yourself as having done this great thing.
Awesome.
And that's where self-esteem comes from.
Validation from the inside out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we covered some really good stuff. Hopefully we can come and talk again at a future time. But I want to end just with some rapid fire kind of lightning questions. I think we got to the why of teaching. You gave some really great advice that I think is definitely applicable. I loved what you said too, that this isn't a magic room, that this could happen everywhere if people were open. And this could happen in society while you're waiting in line at the grocery store, right? But how often do we open up, and how often do we see somebody as a potential friend we don't know yet, or even do we let ourselves be that open to be that friend to somebody? So thank you for that. And so just let's hit some quick things and just see what comes out of this. So let's say we have a strange schedule, or there's a rainy day, you're stuck with 5 or 10 minutes unstructured, you finished everything you planned to do. What's your go-to filler for 5 or 10 minutes with the room, with the class?
My first thing, I like to play the question game.
Okay.
And it's me against the whole class. And so they'll throw questions at, and we'll have, you know the question game?
Yeah, I believe we played it, but
Right.
we
So
can go through
if you don't know the question game, everything you say has to be in the form of a question. The trick is to be able to move the story forward. Somebody says, you want to go to the movies, you answer with,
what do you want to see?
right, exactly. Or I say, why not? Right? Or are you going to do that? Who knows? It's a question, but instead of saying I don't know, you say it as a form of question. So we play that game, and about once a quarter, I will lose. I never lose on purpose. Because again, we're talking about post-pubescent humans. They know when you gave it to them somehow deep down, and when they beat me,
It's explosive.
it's
right?
it's explosive. Right. So that's like on the first thing. I try to time what we're doing because it's practice. When the zippers start moving and people start packing up, it's like Pavlov's dogs. Everybody does it. So I go, whoa, we have 4 minutes, and it only takes 40 seconds to pack up. You got three minutes and 20 seconds worth of stuff to do.
Good.
Let's go. So anyway, what else?
Okay, so how about a song that motivates you or makes you encouraged? If you're feeling down, you're going to throw this song on. What's it going to be?
The tuba song from the Love's Labor's Lost soundtrack.
Okay.
It's wonderful and joyous and so much fun to sing, and is just awesome.
Okay. When you are directing a play and that last night you get to sit in the audience and watch, what's your favorite to observe?
Ooh, it's hard to let it go. I think
It could change over time.
I think what I like best is feeling the audience, and and whether they're in the show or not. And when I actually go sit in the house instead of taking notes upstairs, it's beautiful. When the audience is with whatever's happening,
Yeah.
and they are feeling what the character's feeling, when they can't see the acting,
Right.
they just can.
So good.
It just seems like there's a person there, and when they're enthralled,
That's awesome.
manipulating the emotions of an audience is one of my favorite things in the universe.
So good. I dropped a couple tears when Drew got shot, the sting.
Right.
Last night, I was like, oh no,
Yeah,
Drew.
and
I lost it.
It is teenagers, but if you can suspend your disbelief
Oh,
and
yeah.
care about what happens instead of going, those kids are doing a nice
They
job.
sure did a nice production.
Right,
But-
and then we failed. If that's what you're seeing, and you see that, then we failed to make the play happen. And so I love that feeling. It's my favorite.
Okay. A recent feeling where you felt really good about being a teacher, recent time or short moment that you really just felt really good about what just happened.
I had a student who always coming to me a lot. I get a lot of that with kids after class, or there's always 50 kids in my room at lunch, and this girl she's in a toxic friend group, which I call cliques because that's what they really are. I hate the word friend group. It really means clique with PC. But so anyway, and these kids were toxic, and maybe she was toxic in the group. And I told her basically, you need to break up with them. It's time to break up, and you need to find a new place. And so she kind of did. And this week she came to me, and at the end of lunch, and said, Mr. Fallows, I came in here instead of being with those people at lunch, and someone talked to me. And she was so excited.
Yeah.
It says, and people started talking to me when that person did. Then people were talking, and I found a new place. And setting up that, first of all, that she would take the risk to try that was huge. And then second of all, that the people in my universe, right, have bought into that.
Yeah.
It was because it wasn't me. I didn't make her
So
feel
you
good.
come over and set it up, right?
No, I didn't set that thing up at all. And so that felt like, oh, thank you. That is the best.
Right.
Because it isn't just you can't save them all, but you can if people help.
Okay. Fantastic. Favorite actor or actress?
Ooh, I like Philip Seymour Hoffman
Okay,
a lot.
very good.
My favorite actress is Audrey Hepburn. Favorite movie, Charade.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was a required movie in my radio, TV, film
Oh,
program. Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And anything with Audrey Hepburn, but it's got Walter Matthau and Cary Grant. It's fabulous. So I think those probably, I want to watch everything they do.
Yeah, I see that. Well, I'll watch whatever they're in. If they're in it.
Yeah.
Historical person that you think everyone should know more about?
Okay, this is probably dumb, but Stanislavski. This
Okay.
is too theatery, but we can thank Stanislavski for not hating everything you watch on television and movies.
Okay.
He's sort of the godfather of modern acting, and before him, people tried to show emotion and emote, and then after him, people try to be. And he wasn't the only guy, but he sort of brought that, certainly was the biggest influence on that. And people should appreciate him more because we love our media so much, and he made that happen.
Cool. Best concert you ever went to?
Oingo Boingo, everyone 10 times. The best band in the world.
Okay.
Go Danny Elfman.
Okay.
You're a god to me. If you're watching this, thank you for all you did for me.
Fantastic. And how about a teacher who had a big impact on you, just to bring it all back around to teaching?
When I first started teaching, Yvonne Moulton, who has since passed away, she took me under her wing. I think every teacher feels lost and overwhelmed when they start. I certainly did.
Sure.
And she took me under her wing and said, "You can do this." And I'm like, "I don't know if I'm any good." And she laughed at my face and said, "Are you kidding me? You keep doing what you're doing. You have no idea where you're going." And that gave me the sort of faith to go
Nice.
when you have a lesson plan that bombs, and to go home and go, I'm better than that. I can make that better. And so even period to period. So she, for the first 3 years I was teaching, she was my mentor, and and taught me how to love kids. I already knew, but she gave me methods, I think, and gave me ways to show it. Totally changed the way I look at it.
Fantastic. And a great reminder for all of us to try to be that mentor for someone else and keep the cycle going. So, Chris, it's been a great interview, a great conversation, chance to get to know you better. And in like a substantial amount of time, I always feel like I'm trying to get 2 sentences into you at a time when you're always busy. So just real quick, is there anything that you want to plug going forward we should know about in this fall term, 2018?
Jeez, if you see this, Friday we have an improv show. Saturday we have our murder mystery dinner theater. It's a wedding theme. So you go to like the world's worst wedding ever, and someone dies, and you have to figure out who did it. And then our big musical coming up is in February, and it's Rock of Ages, which is going to be sick. So
awesome. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure. Thanks for everything you do for our students here, and thanks for sharing so many really great personal insights that I think are going to help other people too.
cool.
So,
Thanks, I really
awesome.
appreciate it.
All right, well, we'll see you on the next edition of Inspiring Teachers. Go out and be that motivating person in your student's life, and thank a teacher that you know from your past. That's your homework for this week. We'll see you on the next edition. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, everybody.